of Fortune. My name is Bill. The question in the chat was, why are you always late? So I'm going to read the question, why am I always late? Why am I always late? Why am I always late? Make sure you like and subscribe if you like the content. Why am I always late? I know why I was late. But we shall see. We'll see what the tarot says on why am I always late. Why am I always late? Why am I always late? Okay. Let's do 4 cards. To get a mood for why am I always late? Well, Chinese Disco Babe, welcome. I'm reading the question, why am I always late? So this is why I am always late. I'm barreling forward in whatever I'm doing, like a man on a chariot, start to finish. I am overzealous and plan too many things in too short of a time, working in the dark, trying to get something finished, but I just can't see because of distorted thoughts and wild impulses. Hello, beautiful Maria. This is, I think, pretty true why I'm late. I schedule too much stuff. I'm overzealous, but I'm barreling forward to try to get things done. The internet was down for much of today. I was planning on coming on earlier. Yesterday I wanted to come on early too, but I just didn't feel very good. Anyways, if you guys got any questions, we can read some questions. Or maybe we go into something like get a question from something. All right, I'll make up another question to read on. Okay, you have a question. Good. I got roughly 90 minutes today. While I was rushing to get everything done, I did start the dinner. Dinner's in the oven. Started a load of wash because, I let things go too far and I didn't have any clean socks or clothes, or my shirts are too small and it makes me look really fat. All right. So for Chinese Disco Babe, we got a question. Eventually, you know what? I'm going to start one of these things before noon. So today's the 8th, 8/7/25, and we're looking at number 2. And how goes your job hunt, Chinese disco bag? I need somebody to help me, huh, Maria? Oh, not really. I just need to do I'm not good at house cleaning. That's not something I'm good at. I don't like to do it. And because nobody likes to do it. And when it comes to house cleaning and shit like that, that men are usually really lazy when it comes to doing that kind of stuff. And because I am a man and I have all those man attitudes in my head, and I work but I have to not act on those man things, and I have to actually just be a worker bee, and that's kind of hard for me to be a worker bee because I just really want to work on my own projects. And that's why I have a hard time getting housework done and getting laundry done and doing all that kind of stuff. Okay, so you have a question too. Okay, so let's go to Chinese Disco Babe's question. So you have two. So you want to ask about if you can trust your your mother-in-law, but you're not really married, but your mother-in-law. Hmm. I think Chinese Disco Babe that there is a natural tendency to not want to trust those folks because it kind of stems from the fact that very few mother-in-law types are cool with someone else dating or being with their children, or especially their sons, and or their children, and so that person is never good enough, and so you will get that sense of distrust will come directly right out of that. And also it also depends on how traditional that other person is. So if they're running out of like traditions from the last century, when women were property or were considered property, and if a woman is economically more successful than a man, it always leads to boatloads of trouble. But if the person is not that traditional and people can come together, when you are with your romantic partner and you are with them and you are a partnership, then then but maybe it makes it better for the next generation. I don't know if that makes any sense. You want to know, so we got true intentions for. Do you want to? Okay, so you got a job offer then, Chinese Disco Babe, right? Is that what I'm gathering, right? You have a job offer. So you're deciding between two job offers. So I guess what you're going to do, in deciding between these two job offers, offer 1 and JO2, you're going to want to go, you want to go pros and cons of each job. You want to weigh those two things. This here is the tarot energy of this is that of the Justice card. That's one of the energy that has popped up around this. But you're going to be looking at job 1 and 2. You're going to look at the pros. What is the wage? You're going to want to write this stuff down. If you got 2 offers, you want to know what the wage is. And then you go with what your feel was at that interview. Your pros and cons. Pros and cons. What seems like the good thing about the company, the bad thing. If the wage is similar or equivalent, then if there's the pros and the cons are fairly equal, which one is the closest to your home? And then you want to know which is closest to where you live. Closest to where you live. If the wages are exactly the same, and you feel like the pros and cons of each are roughly equivalent, then you choose the job that is closest to where you live. However, if the job that is farther away pays more, you have to weigh how much time are you going to be spending in your commute. So if you let's say job 1 pays $1 an hour more than job 2, but job 1 means you have a 90-minute a day commute versus maybe a half-hour a day commute. Well, job 2 will offer you more life outside of work. And so you want to find out, in the job that you take, if you're choosing between 2 jobs, you want to make sure you take the one that is going to give you more home life. And that's, or more time that you're not at work. And that's your biggest cons of, or the pros of the job. The wages are either similar or equal. Now, if the wage difference is like a lot for that farther away job, then you take that farther away job. And if your commute by automobile versus taking public transport, if you take public transport, you can gain. You can do things on the bus while you are commuting. But anyway, you can weigh this out and figure it out. But you want to see about job 1 and job 2. Yeah. Is already set on staying. Yeah. Pros, cons list. Yes, exactly. You need to do that. And but you're kind of, if you're gravitating towards 1, then you want to look at that one. So so as far as Maria is concerned, you have a sort of a talking to a person online versus in person, you want to stop talking to him online. Stop talking to him online and begin only talking to him in person. That way you can figure out, you can get a better idea of figuring out who the person is. That's that's my basic advice is for relationships is to, because the more texting, the more online that is done, the more fantasy goes into the situation, and the more disappointment comes out of it when you finally do get together and the person doesn't measure up to either how you imagine them to be or how they portrayed themselves. So my relationship advice for anybody is to, if it's if you can do that relationship thing and it's just to minimize that kind of communication between yourself. No texting, phone. Just talk on the phone only if they're too far away. Do video chats and things like that if you can. Anything that you can basically mimic face to face, but if you can get together face to face, that's the best, because it'll be able to cut through as much of the fantasy as possible. Because when you begin living with a person, that's when that's when the reality hits. That's when it all hits the fan, and then that's when you really know that this person that you're with was like BSing you, or you were BSing them. That's the that's just my basic advice. But let's go and just take a look here about what was Chinese Disco Babe. What was your question? Was it about your uh, mother-in-law? Hi, Tapestry. Was it about your mother-in-law, or was it about your job? When it comes, when I okay, let's do the mother-in-law question. And with your job question, I think that you're gonna have to answer that question yourself, as far as like doing this whole going through a list of things. And once you get it narrowed down, and then the other thing you're going to need to do is, if you can talk to somebody who actually works at either one of those companies, and you want to find out if the boss is an a-hole, how authoritarian they are, and those kinds of things. But those things you're not, they probably won't tell you anyway, and you won't really figure that stuff out till you're actually there, about how do they treat people and so forth. And that's the other thing, is how to kind of figure that out. And yeah, and regardless, you're not really for those kind of things, factors, you're not going to really know until you actually step into the job and you've been there, and that honeymoon period ends, which is it goes anywhere between a week and a month, where when you start any new job, and you're not going to see any of those flaws and everything until you start to settle into that job. And then that's when you'll know if you made the right choice. Okay, it's good in the job situation. All right, so you want to know is, can I trust my mother-in-law? I'm going to call her your mother-in-law. You may not be married, but I'm going to call her that, because that's the energy that she is exhibiting in your life. Can I trust my mother-in-law? Because she's giving you the vibe like maybe she's lying to you or something like that. Is that's what I'm guessing. Can I trust my mother-in-law? All right. Let's just clear the air here. Nice. So Chinese Disco Babe has a question. She's getting some odd feelings about her quote unquote mother-in-law. She wants to know if she can trust her mother-in-law. Mary, we ask that you guide us in this moment so that the truth can be uncovered. Okay, we'll do a 3-card yes and no, and we'll examine those cards. Well, the first card came out as 50-50. Oh, looks like some other cards came out too. Well, I'm gonna look at it like this. Your intuition is telling you you can't trust your mother-in-law. That's what in a sense, this card represents you. It's not fully upright, it's not fully downright, it's kind of on the side. And we're putting that over here, this on the side card. Though it was the first card that came up, and it seemed as though it seems 50-50. 4 cards popped up. And in your sense, your intuition tells you you can't trust her. And the reason why you can't trust her is because it's like she's going around your back and scheming around your back. And she's closed-minded, or and she's giving or being very negative in her attitudes towards you. And she feels that, or maybe you feel that she is projecting on you that you were a poor choice of lovers for her child. They're not quite all reversed. These 2 are reversed, and so yeah. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here, because 4 cards popped out, but this one popped out on its side, and so in this sense, your inner voice is talking to you about this situation, and this is essentially the energy that is coming out of that, is that there's of this card of the deception and the sneakiness, sneaking around, scheming, and like trying to like bugger the situation up. being that being that person, and that's kind of the this is what this is what is throwing your intuition off on this person. Yes, there is a um, maybe a nurturing thing on the front, this motherly thing going on, but there are all these other things going on. And I think it was like, is she really super traditional? How traditional is this mother-in-law? And we are in a new day and age, if you know, and some of the things that can really bugger things up. And I'm assuming that yeah, yeah, those traditional values really don't do us any good in this world, because in this world it is so hard to survive. It is, the powers that built our economic systems, they stack the system against us. And it's in their favor, and so we have to yeah. Yeah, well, that may be, but see, the thing is in this new world that we're living in, it a lot of it's very much like it's very much like the older worlds, but it's always been this way. Is that it takes it takes the whole family unit working together to survive and to have a good life. And economically, it's one of those things where both partners in that relationship need to be economically viable. And so it's like, if the woman, and I'm assuming you're in a heterosexual relationship, but it doesn't really matter, because it's the same. It's the same kind of a thing. We can try that. We can try that. Why don't we just go ask what's the vibe about this? And so, these two, this situation of needing to, like if I look in a situation like my yeah, probably you're just going to have to actually ask her, but she's not going to tell you. Everything about this tells me that even if you were very direct and you asked her what she thought about you, she probably wouldn't be truthful about it. But it looks like, in the sense is that nobody is good enough. Nobody is good enough for her child. Welcome, Mama Sushi. So let's just go ask this. I want to get the numerical vibe of this thing here first. And so we're looking at the number 2 plus 7, 2 plus 7 plus 1 plus 6, and it kind of divides along this way. And we're looking at 7 and 9, and 7 and 9, and that's 16, right? 16. 1 plus. So we're looking at an energy of this and that, and its total energy of number 7, of being of that contemplative spirit. But you're looking at one person and a beginning, but then this whole thing is, if I look at nine and 7, contemplation. I'm just thinking here on how to compile these numbers together. especially when we're looking at this being like this and this being like that. And it's complete here. It's kind of a, anyways, I'm going to put this down over here. Welcome, Mama Sushi. Mama Sushi eventually is going to be my first, when I do a reading alt. I'm going to leave these cards out here together. And so we're going to ask, what is the vibe of the mother-in-law? What is, let me just bring my brain over here to the present and in this present moment. What does Melinda think of Chinese Disco Babe? What does the mother-in-law think of Chinese Disco Babe? What does Melinda think of? How does she feel about it? What is the vibe? Okay. Well, these cards kind of popped out. Welcome. What does she think of? What does she think of? These cards aren't really telling me. I think Chinese Disco Babe that it may be your mother-in-law. I think that you might be projecting onto her what you think, what she's thinking. So this when I came with the tarot and that's she's giving you vibes that she can't be trusted. But what I'm getting from here is that what you think is going on and what is going on are actually two different things. That's what I'm trying to get at. So she may not have made up her mind yet. So your mother-in-law is still trying to figure you out to see to see who you are. You know, maybe she's just taking time to try to figure you out. But she may be looking at other possibilities. Maybe she sees you as just one possibility for her child. And maybe she thinks that you're not such a, maybe you're like a party pooper or something like that. That's just this kind of a speculation here. But that's kind of, because there is this, when you're in that relationship and you are, because there's always this sense of, you know, like well, your own internal self-esteem, and wondering if you do measure up. You know what I'm saying? Is that maybe you should not try not to engage in those thoughts when they come up. That's what I'm trying to say. And you may actually need to if you feel like your mother-in-law is scheming around your back and doing stuff like that, you might just consider asking her what she feels about you. She'll probably say that she likes you and all of that, and then you just have to assess that situation, if you think she's lying or whatnot. Does that make any sense? So that's kind of what I got here by just looking at this. I need to turn that off. Yeah. I don't know. I guess the thing is just going to be dinging. Okay, all right. All right, so now we go to Maria. Maria is still here, I believe. You can't and don't ever try. Oh, yeah. That's what it is. I guess I looked at my sense that my mother, I don't know. I can say that my sister's mother-in-law, I don't trust any of those people. I don't trust her husband. My brother-in-law, I never trusted him. I think he's a drunk. He is a drunk, actually. I don't trust that guy. Yeah. Yeah, I hope that helped. Let's go look at Maria's question. And Maria, if you're still here, I want to come state your question. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I can. You can't take your mom. Yeah. Yeah, you guys are probably right about that. All right, if you're still here, Maria, if you can go restate your question. How do I turn those notification things off? I still don't have a SIM card on this new phone I have. I'm gonna get that like next Wednesday. I need to turn those notifications off. The thing is bugging me. Okay, what can you restate your question, Maria, please? Can just what was your question? Let me go back and see if I can find it back in here. Know your person's true intentions. Your That's from your person of interest, your PI's true intentions. What do they want? Okay. All right, I got it. I got it here. All right, let's clear the air here. Maria has a question. Maria wants to know what her person of interest true intentions are. Is this relationship all illusion, or is there something here worth pursuing? Is there something? Let's restate the question. Is there a there? I guess that's what the question is. Is this relationship going anywhere? Okay, that's the question. Is this going anywhere? I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna do a okay. So the question is this relationship going anywhere? Is Maria's relationship going anywhere? Is Maria's relationship going anywhere? Is Maria's relationship going anywhere? All right. So from these cards, Maria, this relationship ain't going anywhere. So what's going on here from the tarot is that there's a lot of trickery. There's some trickery, or there's some manipulation that's going on. You're relating to this person online in a very a removed sort of way, and so when you're in person, there's a difference than it is when you are online or texting. It's all lovey-dovey when it's texting, but behind the scenes, there is a bit of some uh, manipulation or trickery going on. And then and the other spirit that's here is that there's a sense that when you are engaging in this relationship, so when you're engaging in this relationship, you feel like you're being manipulated in a sense, and you feel as though you do not get enough recovery time between visitations, and so you're getting your senses and everything are getting worn down. When you're with this guy, you're being your energy is being pulled away from you. And then also that's the negatives of this. So you're here trying to connect to this guy. You're here trying to connect to this guy, right? But what you're getting is you're getting the feeling like you're being manipulated, like you're being asked to do something that you can't do, and then you don't have the you're becoming burnt out emotionally, and so you're being you're it's not a restful situation. The situation is not it's so that you're so your core energies and things that you're giving into it, you're not getting any of that back. You're just being drained, and you're just being drained from this situation. Let's see what's the card is on the bottom. It's because in this thing there's nothing but dishonesty, and the whole thing is coming from a place of, okay, I'll be with you shortly, Glenn. And so that's why, because this is the eventual outcome of this is that, and it may just be, Maria, that when you started talking about this in the beginning, I talked about the differences of online relationships versus in-person relationships, and in our today's world where so much things are online, we end up, this is what the final outcome of many of these relationships are, is that they're one-sided. There's no justice. It's this place of dishonesty, or like, because in that online world, because if I to give an example, is that I fell in love with a person many years ago from the Philippines, completely through OkCupid. I'd have conversations, and now what happened was, in this thing, and I think this is, gosh, it must have been like 208, something like that. It come to find out that this person that I fell in love with all through the internet was not, it was some dude who was doing an experiment to see, and they portrayed himself as a woman, good-looking woman, but it wasn't that at all. It was a complete lie. And after about a month, the facades and everything just broke apart, and it fell apart. So that's why when I come to these things of these online relationships, that so often it's trickery. So often it's just nothing but it's all one-sided. And so yeah, you want to get to know them. You want to know them in person. And so you want to start getting to know that person in person as soon as possible. But anyway, that's I hope that this makes sense here. So we have 4, 8. So essentially, it's manifesting a negative, uh, uh, a negative manifestation, negative abundance. Yeah. All right. So who was the next person? Was it Glenn? Was that the next person here? Oh, all right. I hope that helps. Was was hmm. So we have. So Glenn, is Glenn still here? You're welcome. I think Glenn is the next question. Essence of the Moon is here checking up on me, and because her special deck arrived a couple days ago that I made for her. Okay. You want? Yeah, that's right. All right, let's go with Glenn. All right. Hmm. All right, let's clear the air. I wonder where that other tool was at. I have a tuning fork here someplace. Nope. No, no. My before I came on Mama Sushi, I put a roast in the oven, and it was still half frozen. I don't suspect it'll be done before. It's 4:30. I don't think it's going to be done before 6:30. So yeah, welcome Elizabeth. So I have roughly another 35 minutes, and then I gotta go. And the sun came out, so then I gotta go take Mama and the dog for a walk. So yeah, I have time for two more, for one more after Glenn, maybe two more. So this here is what? This is almost 444 hertz. It's an A. Huh. Okay, let's just clear the air. One. No, I'm just playing here. Okay, let me get my mind into gear, because here we go. Welcome, friends. Glenn has a question. Asking Mary of Guadalupe to bring my mind down to silence, to be here in the present tense, to be here right now. Glenn has a question. Okay. What does Spirit want Glenn to know? I'm going to go and get a page number. Get a general energy of what's going on, and for a general reading of what Spirit wants Glenn to know right now. With that, 2, is that even going to get out of the introduction? 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Huh. Interesting. So we're looking at a basic energy of 5. We're looking at change, challenge, so we have a sense of numerology. When the numbers show the energy is one that a change is on its foot. And let's go take a look at this book on page 212. Eliza for short. I see. The Spirit scrutinizes all matters, even the deep things of God. Jesus came to reinterpret that which was already known. So we're looking at what I'm getting from this is, from this energy of this page, it is Spirit is asking you to reinterpret that which you think you know. You think you know. So we're looking at, in this sense of, in this moment, it's a good time to make a change, or to be and the challenge for you is about reinterpreting that which you know. So maybe you're looking at, what are those stories that you are clinging to, the stories that your mythology. Welcome, Angie Burt. So you look at the mythologies that you are living out of. So you go and examine the stories that are governing your life. That's, I guess, that's how to look at that. We have when we're born into a culture, we're born with a certain set of stories, and those stories, um, they tell us how to live. And so maybe these are also stories that go down to what your role is in the world, Glenn, and what you are supposed to be doing. And you are looking at those stories of what you are supposed to be doing. What did your parents teach you? And you are to take a look at those stories and try to reinterpret what they mean for your life. It is time to reinterpret those stories. You have the old ways, and then you are coming into yourself, into becoming a new person who is separate from your parents. Now, I don't know how old you are. I'm assuming you are probably in your 30s. You might be and so forth, but there comes a point of time when a person becomes their own person, and this may be the time that you need to start really writing your own story. You all the things that you think you know, but maybe you need to look at them, reflect on them, and see if there's a different story that makes better sense to you. I don't know if that makes sense, but let's go take a look. I'm going to go take a look at this at the crossword oracle, and then we're going to go into the then I'm going to go to that major arcana oracle. Let's just see what kind of a words. What does Spirit want Glenn to know about this moment? Welcome. What does Spirit want Glenn to... I gotta ignore that phone. What does Spirit want Glenn to know? I guess the stream is clear. What does Spirit want Glenn to know? Okay. It's the fruit of your womb, Glenn. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for Glenn now and all throughout his journey. Hail Mary, full of grace. And that's the card that pulled out. Okay, so we are starting out with an energy of a 1 and a 9. And you're starting out with an energy of 1, which is of a new beginning. Plus the energy of a 9, which is about completion. And together 1 plus 9 equals to 10. And so we're looking at 10, which is you're going to be a begin again with infinite possibilities. So in the sense of reinterpreting that story, these are the stories that made up your life. And Spirit is challenging you to examine those stories, to examine what you think you know, and interpret them through a new lens. And that way you can come again and start in with a new cycle. And this new cycle is one that is governed by infinite possibilities. So we have this sense of the zero, which this singularity, this seed, you're going to be reseeding your life. In a sense, by going through the work and examining the stories that got you here to where you are thus far, and re-examining those stories, reinterpreting those stories into a new story. And you are taking all that you know and turning them back into a seed. And this seed is where you will be beginning again and building on what you know as you go into a brand new cycle. And those reinterpretations may mean that you're going to be making some major changes, but certainly it is going to be challenging to look in the mirror, to see what it is that you were taught, those things that you were taught, and to see and to cast off everything that doesn't make sense anymore, to go again. And so it's looking at everything and through a fresh set of eyes, so that you can begin a new cycle. That's just from these numbers. That's just these numbers. Yes. And so, in a sense, we are looking at the sense of bloom, a flower blooming. You need to bloom into yourself. Be your new self. You're going to bite into that apple. You're going to take a bite out of. So essentially, you're going back into Eden, man. You're going to go back into Eden. There's the snake. There's that fruit from the tree of knowledge, the tree of life. You're going to take a big bite into that apple, and you're going to get cast out of the garden again to toil, to work, to carve a new existence out in the wilderness, out in a place outside of Eden. And you will be working and to bloom into yourself. But also you want to make sure that you take everything that you learn and encode that into your new totem and give it that power, so you can record your new stories, your new knowledge about who you are into this totem. And this will give you that strength that you need when the times are down. So you have these new story or the reinterpretation of old stories, a new scheme, a new way of looking at things. And I'd hope that makes sense. That makes sense. And then if Essence of the Moon is still here, she may be. So we're gonna go look at this. I'm gonna close your reading out by just trying to figure out where you're at in the journey. And I think we've probably done this before, but in this oracle, this is you, Glenn. This is you right now. This is you. This is you. This is who you are. And literally from these numbers, it shows that literally you're about ready to jump off a cliff. This is literally where you are at. But we're going to see where you're at in your journey. And so this is you. You have this loyal dog with you. You have all the tools that you need to complete the journey. You're being bathed by spiritual light, the light from heaven. This light from heaven is empowering you. It's encouraging you on to do what you need to do in this moment. And so I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to mix these cards up really good. And when I start shuffling them, you're going to tell me when to stop shuffling, and that way we can figure out where you are at. Right now, you're just still on the top of the pile, but I'm going to mix these cards up. So, Glenn, you tell me when to stop. I'm going to, because I want to figure out where you're at. Cards popped out. I wish I could riffle shuffle this, but this deck is way too small to do that. Okay, stop. All right. Here we go. We're coming in here. Well, look at that. You're at the beginning. And what you got next is this sense of the magician. But it's in its reverse form. I'm going to interpret that as that you feel in a sense that there's a lack of confidence, that you lack confidence to move forward, and that there's some trickery that's going on. Or you're trying to manipulate too much and we are looking forward. So you need to kind of turn that over. Maybe we're going to look at it this way. It was upside down. Look at it right side up. And so it just shows that you're at the beginning of the journey. That's what it says. Right at the very start. So take the spirit of the magician and see what it is that means for you. And so in this sense, you are drawing from heaven and you are bringing this into yourself, and you're getting ready to move forward, whether it be like this or like that. Okay, I hope that okay. That is good. That in your Eden, that Mama Sushi says that in your Eden, you weren't allowed to be yourself, and the cards are showing you that you need to learn how to be yourself. Take those masks off that you are unmasked. Yeah, unmasking takes a lot of work, and it takes unmasking takes it takes a lot of it takes a lot of alone time, Glenn. You may not have in your life have the time to take alone time, but maybe you need to do that in some fashion. And one of the best ways to um, really get down and into yourself is contour dance. I'm gonna write you a prescription. If this works, other than like going out into nature, spending time, like maybe watching birds, doing some nature walking, or if you have a, I don't know if you what kind of, if you live in an urban area, live in a non-urban area, but if you can, one, if you can get out into a situation where you are around trees, around birds, around animals, if you can, do you live in the interior of the nation, or do you live on one of the coasts? If you can get near bodies of water, large bodies of water, the ocean, if you can spend time, if you, the ocean is hard to get to. I understand that even for people who live on near the ocean, it's hard to get to because it's always very expensive to take trips to the ocean. And yeah, yeah. Anyways, my let's just try this here. I'm actually going to send you a message from the chat from my other account, Glenn. I'm still here. Okay. All right, that is well, Glenn, I've actually logged in with two devices. I have my other device, which I'm looking into this just to make sure that the the stream is clear. So contra dance. Look up contra dance. Contra dance. The French brought it to the United States before there was a United States of America. Contra dance became square dancing. Square dancing originated in the United States, and contra dance is a folk dance form that was actually, it was resurrected in the United States in the 1960s. And why do I recommend contra dance? I recommend contra dance to everybody. It's not necessarily a place where you are going to mate up. It's not a place where if you're like looking to find a mate, the likelihood of you finding a mate at a contra dance community is fairly slim, because the majority of the people who attend are either married or in a married-like relationship, and the average man that shows up to a contra dance is like an engineer. They are in generally, and so it's a folk dance form. But what I recommend about this form for everybody is that it is physical. It is physical and it's fun, and part of the physicalness of it. And then there's also controlled touching in a very touching other human beings in a very structured sort of way, in a very structured way. And if you are a single person like me, having human touch is very, very important, even if it's, whatever. It's very important to have human touch. But that's just one side. But the side where it can help you to reevaluate yourself is because of the physical component of it and how much spinning happens, how much time you are spending in a place where you are spinning, physically spinning, and that physical spinning, that act of actually doing this dance, can bring you into the now. It physically will bring you into the now. Now, if contra dance is not available, then you need to do some kind of physical activity that you can do that will get you into a state of mind where you're not thinking about tomorrow and you're not thinking about yesterday. So you are going to be spending some time. You need to spend some time in the now, and there are different ways to do this. And this is what I'm trying to tell you about. Contra dance is fun, and it's a good way to put you mentally into the now. And it's like you're going to be putting yourself into the now by using a damn hammer. But sometimes you got to use a hammer to put yourself into the now. And running is a great way to do it too. But running, if you're like me, it'll tear up your knees or tear up your hips, because you're getting kind of older, but maybe that's what's available for you. But this an activity that you can do that puts you into the now will put you into this state of being. It'll put you, yes, exercise. Exercise will put you into the now, and it will put you into a place where you are almost like in an Eden state of being. And that Eden, and where you are not, you do not have the time to think about what happened yesterday, what happened this morning, what's going to happen tomorrow. It gives your mind, it gives your body a reprieve. It gives you that like that Four of Swords place where you are in a sanctuary, and yes, outside of you there are all of your worries and everything, but there's blessings to be had because you have been pulled into the right now, and the need to be in the right now. And that is being in that now state of being is really what you need this is what you need in order to progress, to find yourself. Because you can't find yourself if you are always constantly in a state of worry about tomorrow, or worry about this or that, or anxiety, or in a constant state of fear. You have to, sometimes in our lives, we have to physically use a hammer. You have to use a hammer to put yourself into this state of being, to be in the right here and now. Yes, walking in nature, all of these things. Okay, so that was my that's my advice. That's just my advice. That's also my advice just for a life, since I'm almost 60 years old, and I've learned a few things as I've gone along, Glenn. And one of those things that I've learned is that you gotta have that time, and how to unmask, and how to become yourself. And this unmasking might take a long time, but Spirit is asking you to reinterpret that which you know. And that's the message I have for you. All right. I think Mama Sushi had a question. Huh. Wow. Mama Sushi, you gave me a hard question. Why did you give me a hard question? Okay. Let's just clear the air then. Yeah. All right, well, okay. Let's use another paintbrush. Oh, let's use this one here. Clear the air. So Mama Sushi has a question. Mama Sushi wants to know about her child. She wants to know is why did this being choose her? Why did this spirit choose her? her to be is your baby that's going to be born a girl or a boy? To be mother. Okay. Her mother. Okay. Hmm. Why did this spirit choose Amanda? Hmm. Let's just see. What qualities does Mom Amanda have that will be good for this child, new child? Why? What spirit says the child needs to learn What spirit says this child needs to learn? Mama Sushi, wouldn't you tell me when to stop shuffling, please? One card popped out, but just tell me when I need to stop shuffling. I feel like well, that's another one card that popped. Okay, right there. So I want to. What came into my mind was I needed to ask the tarot for what types of spirits or what types of energy is this spirit needing to learn. And the first thing that popped out is the Five of Pentacles. And so is that this child is going to need to learn something about poverty, or whatever that poverty means. Is that actual physical poverty, or is it poverty of spirit? Poverty of spirit. And this child is also needs to learn of this Queen of Cups sort of an experience of being need to learn about how to be more emotionally intuitive or more compassionate, to be more sensitive. That this child is going to need to learn how to be a supportive person, and needs a mother that will support her in a very nurturing sort of way so that she can learn these lessons. And then some of the other lessons is, in a sense of this Two of Swords in the reverse form, is that to learning how to make decisions for themselves. How to think before choosing. To be a thinker. And then also, this person is just going to need to be learning how to be financially independent. How to be financially independent. How to be a self-sufficient person. How to be an independent person. So when this person grows up and leaves your household, that they will be able to stand on their own 2 feet and be yes, they need to be financially independent. So they need to learn about poverty, but at the same time, they need to learn how to be financially independent. Yes. And then see, what does this card on the bottom say? The bottom card is that movement away, a transitioning between one set of ideals into another. So they'll learn about being dependent, but they'll learn how to transition into from this state of being to this state of being through here. And this transition involves being in a place of where they are supported. They're supported and supported in their endeavors, and that they're able to learn how to make decisions for themselves, given the knowledge that is necessary to make decisions for themselves. So you grew in the way that you grew up, Mama Sushi. You need to not teach that to your children. And you talked a little bit about that when you came on my show, on 999 show, about how you grew up. So in a sense, what I'm seeing here, and just from basically what a little bit I know about you, need to not teach that, and be, and maybe you started already to teach that with your child that you currently have, but that sense of you yourself need to embody this spirit in being supported of and loving of whatever those endeavors are. You know, so if that person wants to be an artist, that yes, you do, you can encourage that, but then maybe it's a matter is you want them to be financially independent and to make good decisions. So that would be think, oh well, let's just look at graphic design. Let's look at what are the practical applications of how to make that happen. That's just an example. But if it's whatever that decision is, they have to and be able to stand there on their own 2 feet. This new being coming in is needs to learn how to be financially independent. And so maybe that would be like, okay, yeah. So maybe it would be like, okay, like when my sister was a kid, she's always been in business her entire life. Her first business, she was teaching ballet when she was like 15, 16, 17 years of age. And in that spirit of being a business owner and so forth, that may be the spirit that to be financially independent, that's the spirit that needs to be taught. And maybe that's also something that your husband needs to learn too. He works night and he's doing everything that he needs in order to um to keep that the family going, and also you're living in essentially in a multi-generational household, so you are doing everything that I think that people have to do in our economy, in our world, in order to game the system, in order to get ahead. And so that's like thinking about those kinds of things. And I don't know if that makes any sense. I didn't say that at all. I didn't say that at all. What I'm saying is that maybe with financial independence being a goal here, one of the ways that we gain financial independence in our culture is to be self-employed. Self-employed is hard, but it's a hard road because it's risky. Self-employed is risky, and it takes a lot of movements toward and I don't know what that would mean for you, but for your child that is coming into the world is how to become self-sufficient or financially independent. And in the American model, that's pretty much the only way it happens is for people to be self-employed, but not self-employed as like a gig worker. We're looking at because that's actually another trap that binds you down into poverty. Things like driving Uber or whatever. Those are traps, and it may be that spirit that it's that sense. I don't know. This is something that you have some time to think about. This child, you have 4 months, but um I don't know. So you do want to have your own business. Is that what you're so you do want that. I get that. Yeah. to create your own life. Yeah. And probably living in a semi-rural area is probably the best, is your best bet. And also making sure that you get rid of um, that you get rid of your in your life all, like people who use drugs and alcohol, making sure that's not in your life. But that's just me preaching. That's just me being preachy about that, because that's my own biases that I pull into here of how yes, I did work as a bartender, and bartending was good money, but that doesn't mean that's a yeah, you want them to be free. Yeah. Well, let's see what the numbers are on this. We have 3, 3, 5, 9, 13. I want to see what that total number is. Looking at would the pin go to 5 plus 13 plus 6. I'm sure this is not quite the right way to do this. So you're trying to stop vaping now. Yeah. You being free from, I had a tobacco addiction for years. It took me a long time to get off of tobacco. You're looking at 18, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 8. So, which is come from a 3 and a 5. So we're looking at how can you achieve this? How do you achieve this abundance? Well, Mama Sushi, I think that what these numbers tell me, basically, it's through use of creative expression and always be able to change on a fly. That you can create this abundance by being meeting challenges, making changes where necessary, but always be grounded in your creativity, because your creativity is it's the engine, the engine of your I'm going to just put it this way: the engine, engine, the engine of your of manifesting financial abundance comes, the engine that's going to drive financial abundance, this financial independence, comes from It comes from creative change, creative change and adaptability. ADAP, adaptive. I can't spell it all today. So being able to be adaptive and adapting to this in dynamic and adaptive to whatever comes your way, and being able to adapt on the fly. It's like being massively creative. It's because of we are heading into a new world here, a new way of being, and whether and being self-employed in this new world. And right now we're in flux, and we have no idea what it's going to be, but it's all going to shake out in the next few years. For the most part, it's going to shake out, and then whatever happens, but to be able to be successful in this new world, it's going to require, yes, hard work. That's a given. Hard work is a given, but it's going to require being able to adapt on the fly, being on the fly, and having in your core being your creativity, being open to inspiration always, but also using intelligence, because that sense of this indecision thing is a killer. Being able to make good decisions, especially when you don't have all the information, that involves, relying on your intuition, but it also relies on, on the intuition, but that in a sense that it's not blind intuition, it's intuition based upon the facts that you have, and be able to make those decisions. And financial decisions, I don't know. I mean, those are things. These are all things you can learn. I can't really tell you how to do that, but what the numbers tell me is that it's this sense of creativity and adaptability, and being able to make changes on the fly. That's kind of what I'm getting right here. I don't know if that makes any sense. Yeah. All right. I've been on for 2 hours now, and 5:30. Time to get my peeps out for a walk. So you got the chills from this? Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope I'm getting better at this. Just gonna turn the candle off. Here's my own insecurities or whatever are speaking, and wondering if I'm actually getting any. Oh, just me. I see. Well, I'm just wondering is when because I went into this thing wondering when when is the right time that I think that I've learned enough that I can like start applying as on those psychic hotlines. I don't know. I don't know about that. It's 5:30. Where did my box for this tarot deck go to? Yeah, I gotta wash my clothes too. The only clean shirt I had was one that was too small for me, and so when you and it makes me kind of look like a sausage in the in the shirt. Yeah. Well, thank you guys. I'm gonna tomorrow. I have doctor's appointments to go to in the afternoon for my mama, and so I will be doing an evening I'll be doing an evening reading, probably that 11 o'clock hour. That's probably when I'm going to start reading tomorrow night. Hopefully I won't have any like migraines or anything like that. So I'll do a nighttime reading tomorrow night, and then my mother on Sunday has a class reunion, so Saturday night will be needing to be we'll see what happens. It's nice out, and then I gotta start making content for that art fair coming up soon too. But okay, you don't need to hear about that. Thank you very much for letting me read for you, and I will try to be more on time in the future. All right, blessings and peace to all you all. Thank you, Mama Sushi. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Chinese Disco Babe. Thank you, Tapestry of the Unseen. Thank you, Essence of the Moon. Thank you, More Intuitive Me. Thank you, Glenn. And I think that's everyone. Maria and Chinese Disco Babe. And thank you, Spirits, Mary, for being here with us today. All right, bye-bye.